Thank you, Mrs. Kehl. You've already introduced me very well. Thank you so much. My task it is to say in a nutshell, what is problem-based learning and how does it work? Well, for those who need a refreshment. Problem-based learning is a teaching and learning method used around the world. Students are being active. Active means they have higher chances to retain something in the long-term memory. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, good. So students are actively analyzing a problem. It's usually didactically constructed, and they work in step 1 to 5 in order to become aware of their prior knowledge, subjective theories, and to be able to formulate their own learning goals. In step 6, they do self-study and acquire new objective knowledge with the objectives to answer the open questions, to learn from the problem, to understand it better, and eventually explain it and maybe do something with it, transfer their knowledge to similar tasks. It works when the students realize that they are responsible themselves for their learning, for the learning process, and for the outcome. When they are aware that the learning group is a resource for learning through brainstorming, exchanging theories, elaboration, and discussion. And when they understand that the teacher is not a sage on the stage, but rather a guide on the side, which is a tutor. And if they know that the learning case is all they have to go from, the learning case must be very well constructed with the keywords that are necessary to become aware of the concepts, theories behind it. If they know how to analyze the case successfully, steps 1 to 5, and moderate, chair their own meeting, and protocol or scribe also their own learning sessions by themselves. If they're able to self-study effectively, step 6, using sources and evidence-based data, and if they're able to discuss the outcomes thoroughly. It also works when the problem invites the students to get involved emotionally and identify themselves with the professional roles in the case. And it works when the teachers understand their role as tutors clearly. For instance, this is a learning case, blood in the mouth. You can see from this learning case, it's short. It doesn't necessarily have to be long. It's not a case study. And you see the last sentence here, you are the doctor, which is meant to really get involved, the students to take responsibility, to feel that they should do something about it, should analyze this learning case, should find out what are possible causes for this coughing, and also are motivated to find out more about what could be the causes or what could be a proper diagnosis and measures to take. And last slide, second last slide. So the 5 steps here that are being worked with in the first learning sessions for the students, they're really crucial, and it's really crucial to do them properly, and it's crucial to understand why they're being done the way they're being done, such as defining sub-problems or themes, step 2, that's not so easy. Sub-problems means what are the keywords in this case, like, for instance, what is the function of coughing? What are possible causes of respiratory problems? What are possible causes for blood in the mouth, etc.? What are possible causes for pulmonary diseases, etc.? For instance, tuberculosis, lung cancer, and all that stuff. So it's really important that the student find out which themes are in step 2. In step 3, they formulate provisional explanations. This is very crucial also because they have to explain what they think matters, what they think is happening here. And it can be wrong, but that's okay because it will be corrected later on. It's very important that all prior knowledge of the students get on the table. And only in step 4, the students are allowed to discuss, to ask questions to each other, to ask if anyone has had experiences with this kind of situation, and then also organize the brainstorming in a proper manner and find titles to all this material, for instance, causes, functions, diagnoses, measures, etc. And then very important, the learning questions. It's up to the students to formulate the learning questions. The cases have to be really good so they're able to formulate the proper learning questions, because that's what they're going to study later on in step 6 during their self-study. And of course, step 7 is also really important, because then they exchange, they retain, they go into their depth, they are being asked questions, they ask each other questions. This is the outcome that has to be presented and that has to be fixed in a certain manner. Usually problem-based is a concept where students have time to do self-study. I put a few notes here. That can be 2 days, it can be a couple of hours, but it is really important to have this self-study to be able to use sources, to be able to use evidence-based data and instruments to do so. And step 7, usually 2 hours, not just one lesson, to really go into depth, to discuss with the tutor, to really be able to show what they have learned and that they have learned what has been expected from them. So that's in a nutshell what is problem-based learning and how does it work. Of course, I know it's very little that have been given, but of course many of you already know a lot about it, and I'm really curious to see now what you have done in research and in practice and what the questions are of those who are maybe not so experienced. Thank you very much, Mrs. Kay.